ESPN 1410 Wing AM brings you 1410 Wing Live. Follow along on Facebook, on Twitter, even on our ESPN Dayton YouTube channel, and at wingam.com. We're everywhere. The biggest interviews with the biggest local and national guests. It's 1410 Wing Live with Justin Kinner.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It is 1410 Wing Live here on the Justin Kinner Show on 1410 ESPN Radio. We got a lot to get into, but real quick, a shout out to the sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show and 1410 Wing Live, Arrowhead Tax Service. Arrowhead Tax Accounting and Payroll Service in New Carlisle is open and here to serve. Call Michael Maxwell at 937-543-5770 or make an appointment online at arrowheadtaxservice.com. So let's hit the ground running. I want to bring on, we have two guests today at the same time. We're going to, of course, bring on a face you're familiar with, College Football Hall of Famer. Now we could say that College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and a former NFL teammate of his, as well as head coach at Arizona State. Right now we got Coach Herm Edwards with us. Guys, welcome in. How are you today?
I am doing well.
Good to be here as well also.
Now, Coach Edwards, I'm sure you're getting a lot of the same questions about the Pac12 and the Big Ten and the postponement. We'll get into all that boring stuff in a moment, but you two played together at the Eagles, and I'm always hearing different, stories and memories of you two. So Keith, I'm going to let you kind of open up here as we hit the ground running.
Well, I was wet behind the nose, right behind the ear rookie when I came in, and, being there with Herm Edwards, I was like, that's the Miracle in the Meadowlands guy. Man, I know who the Herman is. But I wanted to learn, I probably told you in the past, though, Herman, but we only played a short time together in Philadelphia before you went on to Kansas City. But I learned so much from you being, like I said, wet behind the ear rookie. And I said, I need to learn from vets. And even though we played different positions, whether you was in the, training table, in the, sitting around in practice getting something to eat or sitting around in the dorms, I was always trying to be that third ear listening to you and Ronell Young and a whole lot of other veterans. I'm like, you guys, you've been in the league, I think at that time, like 10 or 12 years. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to be you guys one of these days. And so I just was trying to be like hopefully a lot of these rookies are today, and even incoming freshmen, because you're in college now, learn from people who've been there before and have done it. And do you still try to, portray those messages and all the other stops of your life that you've been in?
Keith, I do, and it's a good segue into the fact that everything I've learned my whole life, along with all of us on this screen, we've actually learned from somebody else. No coach in the history of coaching any sport has ever given a player talent. No one gave Keith talent. God gave him his talent. Now, what you're able to understand is when you're well aware of that, and you have to be a seeker of knowledge. You have to be an information gatherer. And Keith was that. He was that guy. And being in the league that long, when I played, you could tell there were some rookies, they couldn't figure that out. They just couldn't figure it out, and they struggle. And once they figure that out, they can find their way. It's not about their talent. They're talented enough. It's just how you go about what we always say, be a pro. Well, what is a pro? Besides putting the helmet on and running into the stadium, there's all these other things you have to do to be a pro. This is professional football. This is not a hobby. This is your life's work. And what are you willing to do to be the best professional you can be? That's critical. And I think some guys don't realize that. They worry about their brand. They worry about this and that. I always tell them, all that stuff sells when you're a good football player. Invest your time in football, because the thing we do know about football, the one thing we do know about football, it is not a career. It's an opportunity. It can end on one play. Keith has seen it. I've seen it. I've seen guys come in training camp, get a knee, career over. Yep. So it's not a career. It's an opportunity. And what you do with that opportunity, that little window you have, is very important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because when I heard you was coming back to college, I'm like, Arizona State don't know what they're getting. They're getting more than a football coach. They're getting a life coach and going to give you lessons that's going to last a lifetime. And, I learned, I used to copy, knowledge. The thing of this, when you was in Philadelphia, everybody, coming out in practice looking a certain way, you had that long beach towel at practice. You were like, I'm getting service with a smile. And I'm like, you're right. And I used to wear that same towel. I don't want a little 6-inch towel. Give me a whole body towel. Because I put in work. I need to be wiping off my sweat. Because that's what a pro does. So it worked for you, I'll make it work for me. And I had other guys follow me throughout the years, and they don't even know I got that from you. I'm like, no, I don't know this time. That's for game day. But practice day, you put in the work. And I learned that from you.
I do. And you make a great point in the fact that at the end, it's about this is whatever we do in life, when we first experience our first opportunity, whether it's in television, radio, be an NFL football player, you need to find a mentor to kind of show you the ropes. Because as much as you're confident and all that, really you have this anxiety in you because you really don't know. But a person being a mentor is important. And I always say this, look, it's not so much what you give or what you take from football. What will you give back to the players and the coaches that follow you? That's part of the deal. That's part of being a pro. That's part of being a college athlete, student athlete. How are you making it better for the guys that follow you? Because there's going to be guys that follow you. You want to make the game better.
Right, because everybody's career comes with an expiration date. You just don't know when it's going to be always, but it's coming with an expiration date.
That is true.
All right, we got Arizona State head football coach Herm Edwards with us here on the Justin Kinner Show. Justin Kinner, Keith Byers, Herm Edwards with you here this afternoon. And Coach Edwards, this is one of the most interesting times right now in all of sports, and you have a very unique position right now as a head football coach in college. 2 Power 5 conferences, of course, have postponed the upcoming football season, the Big Ten and Pac-12. With you being a head coach within the Pac-12, just your thoughts on how, when this process started of kind of wondering where the conference was going to go with this, to when you officially heard the final decision of they're going to postpone until the spring, just your general reaction to everything along the way.
Well, knowing I was not naive walking into this. We knew that the doctors, the medical professionals were going to lead us. No head coach was going to lead us through this. No president, no AD. It was always left up to the doctors. And I think if you understood that walking in, this is the first time, like a coach, you want to be in charge, right? You weren't in charge in this one now. They were going to make the game plan out and you were going to follow it. I mean, follow it to the T, because if you didn't, you're going to find yourself in a bad way. So with all that being said, I think as more information came out, and some of the teams were in different situations, some of the teams in California were a little bit different than Arizona, Washington, and I think they drew the conclusion that safety for players, coaches, for all involved was not in a place where they felt they could get a season in. So we postponed at this point, and we're looking to try to play in the spring, obviously, like other teams are as well.
Now, when you say play in the spring, I know it's how nothing's definite, but when does that start? Is that February, January, or April?
Keith, you make a good point. I would think this, if they would try to do that, because all of a sudden you have the draft coming up. And the draft's not going to change. You have the combine coming up. I think if you try to do that, you're talking in January, maybe February, and you could. Now, I don't think you can play a whole season. I don't think that at all. I think if you're in the Pac-12, one of the things that I brought up was maybe you just play in your conference. You play the 5 games in the North, and the other teams plays the 5 games in the South, and then they have a conference championship, which is 6 games. Now you're talking 6 games along with next season playing 12 games. Well, that's 18 games. Well, LSU played 17 games last year in one season. Wow. So I think if you get over that amount of games, you're going to put the players in a position where, injury could occur, and you don't want to do that to any football player. Yeah, that being said,
time also.
Right. And so Keith, that being said, too, think about it this way, and you know this because you went to the combine. Now, if players, they would be eligible to go to the combine, they wouldn't have to work out because they just had a season. They would have to go get physicals and do the interviews. And so everything would kind of stay intact that way. Now, that's just me talking. I don't get to make the decision. I don't even want to try to make the decision. Yeah. but that's something that came to mind when I thought about it.
Yeah, also what's on my mind, what are we playing for? There's no bowl game at the end of those 6, 8, or 9 games, or however many they deem to play. And we still got to get ready for the upcoming next season. Yeah. Why are we playing?
Well, I think this for you would crown for us a Pac-12 champion. Also, this, Keith, if seniors did not want to come back, let's just say they weren't going to be a high round pick. They were, maybe going to be a 4th round pick or 3rd round pick. Playing 6 games allows you to get more tape. That helps them. It also allows them to decide this. if they play those 6 games and they don't like it, they can actually come back. So they're kind of in a win-win situation because all these kids, the seniors, they get a free year. They can come back regardless of how many games you play. So that's a good option for them. Now, some guys, like you say, Keith, they'll say, you know what, I'm not going to play. We know that anyway. You go to some bowl games, guys, and they're seniors. We've had 2 bowl game experiences already, and 4 players didn't go. I mean, N'Keal Henry was drafted in the first round. He didn't play. Brandon Ayuk this year got drafted in the first round. He didn't play in a bowl game. So I understand that. There's always going to be some players that opt out.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess you kind of answered my next question, would be the eligibility, as far as your recruiting. You're trying to choose a college. Well, is that guy going to be gone? The reason why I want to come there, or do I get to hang on to my freshman eligibility another year?
Right. I think it's just for the seniors. The 25 to 85 count won't matter. I mean, they won't count those guys in the 85 that they elect to come back. I believe this. And Keith, you know this. Wherever you go, there's going to be competition.
Yep.
And if you're looking at the roster and going, well, this guy and that guy's going to be going, that's probably the wrong place to be going, because the number one thing about recruiting, and I think all players know this, and we make emphasis of it, every year we're trying to out-recruit the class we just brought in. It's pro football, Keith.
That's a good point.
It's pro football. Every year there's a common draft. And those guys who sit in the locker room, the pro players say, I'm not watching the draft. Yeah, they are when they pick the guys in your position.
Exactly. I've been going back to Ohio State. The running back coach tell you, I'm looking for your replacement. I just got here. I'm already looking for the next guy.
That works. Competition.
Yep.
Coach, it's interesting right now in Chicago or in Illinois, a lot of upset Big Ten parents are demanding answers from Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren. I'm curious, what is it like in the Pac-12 and with the parents of your players right now? Is there a similar reaction in the Pac-12 to the Big Ten where there's a lot of, uneasiness right now and not a lot of questions answered? What's it like for your program right now in the Pac-12 compared to the Big Ten?
I haven't had any calls from any parent thus far. Not saying I might not get one or two, but I think most of the parents, I haven't had any issues with any of them talking about, wanting to play. And look, everybody wants to play. I want to coach. Players want to play. We're not like we don't want to play, but it's not our call. It's not, it's like all the fans, when you go into the stadium, they want to be the coach. They're not the coach. I'm not the coach here. The doctors are. The doctors, there's some people above me and above all the players. They're called the CEOs, they're called the presidents, and they're called ADs. They collectively came together in our conference, and it was 12-0. It wasn't like 6-6. It was 12-0 to postpone. So when that's said, I'm a team player, and guess what? That's what we're going to do. And now I'm getting my players ready for whenever we decide to come back, we're going to be prepared to come back. And that's all you can do.
What's your day-to-day?
All season right now. So they're lifting weights and
running.
Conditioning program.
They're doing all that stuff. We're actually having a draft today. We got a big draft going right now. Madden game.
I want to play at Arizona State right now.
Everybody on the team's going to play, man. You should have seen that in the Call of Duty. So we're rolling right now.
Coach, last thing here from me, at least, as far as recruiting, how much is this not hurting recruiting? Because everyone's experiencing this in some way or another. But what are some things you and your staff has had to do to be able to adapt to recruiting and contact and those types of things?
Well, they're visiting us visually now.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about inviting parents and their sons to our campus, to be with the coaches, to meet our staff visually. Okay, and for us, we've done a pretty good job of recruiting. To be quite honest, we're getting some guys from all over the country, and we have a lot of guys committed right now. So it's gone good for us thus far, and I think it's the way of the world. You adjust. It's like in football. I always say this in football. There's always a plan, but a plan that can't be changed is a bad plan.
That's true.
So you got to change the plan now. how you go about it. But everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's got to recruit the same way.
Well, Coach, I'm curious because when you talk about that, it's one thing, and I heard about Keith Byers when he got recruited to Arizona State, they took him horseback riding. I'm trying to picture Keith on a horse, but you can't do that virtually. So that's where I'm at with this right now.
Yeah, it's been interesting, but I think a lot of young people realize, and young people want to take visits too. That's part of the process. They want to see your campus. So everyone's going to have to adjust right now. A lot of high schools in certain areas have been canceled as well. So we're all dealing with this.
But I'm good. Hey, Herman, if you ever need me, I'm a phone call away. And next time I'm in Phoenix, I'm definitely got to swing by the campus.
Come on.
Yeah, get me a Seth off the golf course. Seth Joyner. I can always stop over.
Okay. It's good to get you a Seth over here. You guys always invite, you know that.
All right, appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Arizona State head football coach Herm Edwards, good enough to join us here today. Coach, thanks so much for your time. Keith, thank you as well. Guys, you have a great weekend.
Thank you now. God bless.
All right, there we go. That was, again, Keith Byers and Herm Edwards, good enough to join us here on the Justin Kinner Show. We'll have that coming up later on in the show for you as well. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out.